Don't change a thing. Now there's somebody I really want you to meet. My special guest this week, Elaine Paige. Elaine, it's lovely to have you here.
Barbara, that was a great song. What was it called? I missed the title of it.
It's called It Goes Like It Goes.
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's
wonderful
really
song.
sad, isn't
I know.
it? You've made a whole album of film themes, haven't you, Elaine?
Uh-huh.
How did you choose them? Where did you
With
start?
great difficulty, I can tell you, because, well, as you know, when you're looking for songs, there's so many songs out there, probably more in the film world than there was in the, the Stages album I did, which was all theatre things. This was even harder because there were so many songs over such a long span of time. So it took me about 3 months, I think, really, to finally get down to 12, because it's not many, really, when there's so many wonderful ones. But basically, my criteria always is to sing songs that I really like. So that's how I came to end up with these 12.
Well, you've mentioned the Stages album. Of course, most people know you so well for your work on the stage. Where did it begin for you?
And I suppose really the first sort of break I had was in Hair in the West End. And
When was that?
when?
Yeah.
I knew you'd ask me that. I can't remember. No, wait a minute. It was 69, 70-ish. And, hippie days.
But how did you cope with the nudity? I mean, was it difficult for you? Were you shocked?
Well, I don't know if you know, but it was always a voluntary thing. You didn't have to do it, for which I was very grateful, because I couldn't get around to it. I just, for some long time, I thought, there's no way, I can't do this. And, of course, in the end, everybody, gradually, at least everybody did it at least once, even if they never did it again. But I just couldn't get around to doing it, and everybody started to rib me about it a bit, said, come on, you're letting the side down, you're the only one, and all this. And so I said, oh, it's no good, I've got to try and do it once, And a friend of mine, Gary, I can't remember his name, Gary, anyway, said to me, look, if you promise to do it tonight, he said, I'll stand next to you and, hold your hand for moral support. He was a big chap, and he said, I'll stand there, and don't worry, I thought, well, that'll make it feel a bit better, you see. So there we are, under this blanket, taking all clothes off in a rush, and because I stood up in the darkness, because it was a blackout, and I stood up, and the shock of standing around with no clothes on was so horrendous. And I put my hand out to hold his hand, and of course, there you are, you see,
so it was very
It's very embarrassing. Very embarrassing.
Well, it didn't take you long to go from Hair and all the things that you were involved in and into Evita, of course, which was a smash. I remember I was in America, and there was a lot of publicity about you getting the part. I know what that feels like when everybody says unknown gets big part. And you've been working your socks off for years
and years. And they say overnight success.
That's right, and they say it's an overnight success, and of course it never is. But there you were in Evita, and I remember reading reviews when I was in the States making an album, and it was a smash. I had a slight vested interest in Evita, of course, because I had just done that little One Song, Another Suitcase.
Of course you had, that's right.
But it was lovely. I was delighted that you'd done so well. And you were in it for almost 2 years.
Yes, about 20 months, I think. And it was a hard show to be in that long, for such a long time. For the first couple of months, I think you're experimenting and finding out new things about the character all the time, or at least that's how I felt. And then sort of after that, you kind of take a dive, and as you say, you kind of get a bit stale, and you think, uh-oh. And then I found I had to kind of employ little tricks with myself to, pretend I was Judy Garland playing Evita or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Silly sort of games to try and keep it fresh for myself. It wasn't easy, and of course, things do begin to go wrong, as happened. I never forget one evening. You remember that scene up on the balcony where she walks out in all her finery and meant to be terribly calm and together lady in all the gear. And I walked, and I must have been in the show now, I should think, a good 9 or 10 months. And I walked out in the long ball gown and stood there to sing "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina," and the actual set in the middle of that walkway was on a roundabout sort of thing, and all the microphones were sort of there. And I was singing the song, started to sing the song, and "Don't Cry for Me," and suddenly, before I knew where I was, I turned round, because it was on a
revolve.
on a revolve, that's the word. And I turned around, and I was now singing it to the wings, and then and I kind of kept going, and before I knew it, I turned right round and I'm trying to sing to the audience over my shoulder. I think what had happened was some new chap, you see, pressing the button didn't realise that was meant to happen at the end of the song, not at the beginning. No. So it all happened the wrong way round.
And that's a huge song, isn't it? Yeah.
You know, meant to be in total control and everything, and the whole thing got really rather out the window. It's quite funny.
How do you find stamina on a long run like that?
It's hard. I mean, one has to, you know, it's a bit like being an athlete, isn't it? You have to, I always make sure I eat well and sleep, and, you know, and it gets a bit boring, really, particularly if it's over a long period of time. And with Evita, in fact, I must have been there, I don't know, some good length of time when I said, it's no good, I've just got to have a holiday. So they gave me a month off. And of course, when I came back, I don't know if you ever had a holiday when you were in Blood Brothers, but that awful thing when you come back and it really feels like a first night all over again, doesn't it?
Yes, yes, it does.
And you think, oh, I don't know it. It's like brand new. And